The smoke was thick. Sparks flew from broken wires. Ryan's escape pod hit the ground hard and bounced. Twice before crashing into the dense jungle, he groaned and unbuckled himself. His suit was scorched, one arm bruised, and the Cums were dead. Ryan had crash-landed on an unknown planet. He didn't remember the name from any chart. He grabbed his emergency pack, pulled out a small scanner and froze. Multiple life signs were moving toward him. Fast. He stood quickly, his boots sinking slightly into the mossy floor. The trees were tall and the air warm, but he wasn't alone. The scanner beeped again, closer now. He turned, but before he could run, something tackled him hard. He hit the ground with a grunt. A growl came from above him. She was tall, strong, and not fully human. Her skin was smooth and gray, her eyes golden like a wolf's. Her ears were long and alert, and her hands ended in sharp, claw-like nails. A tail swayed behind her, and her sharp fangs were bared inches from his face. "Don't move, soft flesh," she growled. Ryan held still. "I'm not your enemy." She sniffed him like a predator. "You smell strange, weak, but not prey." Behind her, more creatures like her stood in a half circle, weapons drawn, bows, spears, and jagged blades. They were silent, watching. The female pressed her knee into his chest. "I am Kari, hunter of the Larnari pack. Who are you to fall from the sky onto sacred ground?" "My name is Ryan, human, engineer," he said slowly. "My ship, it's gone. I didn't mean to land here." Kari growled again, baring her fangs. "All trespassers lie. Some cry, others run." "You speak calmly. You think you're safe?" "No," Ryan said. "But I'm not afraid of you." Her eyes narrowed. Then suddenly she bit him. Her sharp teeth sank into his shoulder. Not deep enough to maim, but hard enough to draw blood through the suit. Ryan shouted from pain, then shoved her off with a burst of strength. The crowd gasped. Ryan stood up, holding his shoulder. His heartbeat was racing, but he looked Kari in the eyes. She expected him to scream, to beg, to retreat. Instead, Ryan stepped forward and bit her back on the arm. It wasn't a brutal bite. It wasn't revenge. It was equal, firm, controlled, and deliberate. The jungle fell silent. Kari's golden eyes widened in shock. Behind her, the other Larnari stared in disbelief. One warrior dropped his spear. Another whispered. He returned the sacred bite. Kari took a step back, stunned. "You dare? You don't know what you've done." Ryan didn't move. "You bit me first." "I just responded." Kari looked at the mark on her arm. Her breathing was fast now. "Among my people. That is not a challenge, not an insult. That is a right. A bond." "A bond?" Ryan asked. "A bite returned is never casual," she said, still in disbelief. "It means you've accepted my dominance or rejected it and now stand as my equal. It's used in fights, in trials, or in..." She stopped herself. "In what?" Ryan asked, still holding his shoulder. Kari's tail flicked. "Only in battle. Or mating." The warriors gasped again. Ryan looked around, uncomfortable now. "I didn't mean anything like that." "But you did it, and it was witnessed," Kari said quietly. "Now you cannot run. Not anymore." She turned to the warriors. "Take him to the elder. He must answer for this." Ryan didn't resist as they surrounded him. He had no idea what this strange alien ritual meant, or what it would lead to. But he could tell one thing. He had just broken a rule. Maybe several. And Kari, the fierce alien huntress, kept staring at the mark on her arm. Not with anger, but with something else. Something dangerous. Something curious. As they marched him deeper into the jungle, Ryan couldn't help but whisper to himself, "What the hell did I just get myself into?" Behind him, Kari murmured under her breath, just loud enough for him to hear, "No human has ever bitten back." Ryan's hands were tied behind his back with a vine-like rope, rough but strangely warm. 2 warriors walked ahead of him. 2 more followed behind. Kari walked beside him, silent, her golden eyes fixed on the path. The jungle opened into a clearing. Tall stones formed a circle, carved with glowing symbols. In the center stood an old creature taller than Kari, with fur-lined robes and twisted horns. His eyes were dim but sharp, like ancient fire still burning inside. Kari bowed. Lo! Elder Varuan, the sky-fallen human that returned my bite. The elder didn't blink. His gaze turned to Ryan. Is that true? Ryan tried to speak. She bit me first. I reacted. That's it. Varuan raised a clawed hand. Silence. Ryan's jaw clenched. He said nothing. The elder stepped closer and examined Kari's arm, where Ryan had bitten her. His long fingers touched the mark gently. Then he looked back at the crowd gathering in the shadows of the trees. Warriors, witnesses, you saw the act? A rumble of agreement came. Varuan turned to Kari again. Do you understand what has begun? I do, Kari said. Voice low, but he does not. Then he must be told. Varuan stepped forward, facing Ryan directly now. Among the Larnari, to return a bite is sacred. It creates the thread. What thread? Ryan asked. A soul thread, the elder replied. Forged by instinct, tested by blood. It binds challenger and challenged, until one yields or both unite. Ryan frowned. I didn't agree to that. Kari turned her head toward him. You acted. That was agreement, the elder continued. Your bite was clean, balanced, not rage, not submission. Rare for one not of our kind. That makes this more complex. I didn't come here for any of this, Ryan said. I just want to go home. The crowd began to murmur. You cannot leave, Varuan said. Not yet. You are now part of a rite. A test of truth and spirit. What happens if I refuse? Ryan asked. Kari answered before the elder could. Then the bond turns sour. It poisons both. You will weaken. So will I until one breaks or one dies. Ryan stared at her, stunned. And if I go through with it? You face the trial, Kari said. What's the trial? The elder gave a small smile. That depends. Kari is hunter ranked. To match her, you must prove more than strength. Wit, endurance, even mercy. The thread watches. And if it likes you, it pulls tighter. This is insane, Ryan muttered. But you survived her bite, the elder said. You returned it. That has never happened before. Ryan felt every eye on him. Even Kari wasn't looking at him the same way now. Less like prey, more like a question that hadn't been answered yet. I don't know your customs, Ryan said. Your rules. I'm not one of you. Kari stepped closer. That may be true, but the threat has started. We both feel it. He did feel something, a strange tension between them. A low hum, just under the surface of his skin. Like electricity or gravity. I'm not here to hurt anyone, Ryan said. Varuan nodded. Then you will not refuse the trial? Ryan sighed. I'll do what I have to. But I won't kneel, not for anyone. Kari's ears twitched. Her lips pulled into a strange smile. You have more bite than I thought. Good, said the elder. The trial begins tomorrow at first light. 2 guards stepped forward to untie Ryan's hands. He didn't resist. You'll need rest, the elder said, and strength. Kari nodded to a small cave-like shelter near the clearing. He'll stay there. No, said one of the male warriors, stepping forward. It is not safe. The thread draws predators. Let me stand guard, Kari growled. No, he is mine to guard. I'll watch him. The crowd murmured again. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Yours? Kari looked him dead in the eye. Only until the trial is complete. She turned and walked toward the cave. Ryan followed, unsure if he was walking toward survival or deeper into something he couldn't control. Inside the cave, it was warm and quiet. A small light crystal glowed above. Kari sat near the entrance, sharpening her clawed blade. Ryan sat across from her, back against the stone wall. "You don't talk much, do you?" She didn't look at him. "Talking is for the weak. We read scent, posture, silence." "I'll take that as a yes," he said dryly. She paused, eyes narrowing. "You smell strange, not like prey. Not like predator either, something in between. Thanks, I think." Silence hung between them. Then Kari spoke softly. "You bit me, human. That mark, it burns, but not with pain." Ryan looked at her. "What does it burn with?" She turned her head toward him, eyes glowing in the dark. "With change." The jungle mist was thick as the sun rose behind red mountains. The air felt heavy, like something was watching something ancient. Ryan stood shirtless in the circle of stone, his shoulder still bandaged from Kari's bite. His boots were dusty, his hands clenched. Across from him stood Kari, armor light, eyes focused, tail swaying like a lioness ready to pounce. Around them, the Larnari tribe gathered, warriors perched on stones. Elders stood silently with their staffs glowing. The trial was not just a test, it was a judgment. And Ryan was the outsider under the claw. Varun stepped into the center, raising a long wooden spear. "Today begins the trial of the claw, not a battle of brute strength, but of balance, instinct, and truth. If the thread between you is false, it will snap. If it is real, it will survive the wild." Ryan didn't fully understand, but he didn't need to. His gut told him this wasn't just about surviving, it was about proving he wasn't weak. Kari stepped closer, handing him a small bone dagger. "This is all you carry. No tech, no fire, no lies." Ryan looked at her. "You trying to scare me?" She smirked. "If you were scared, you wouldn't have bitten me." Then, without warning, she sprinted into the jungle and disappeared. Varun spoke. "The trial has begun." He must track her, read her signs, avoid her traps, and reach the stone fang by sunset. Ryan turned to the trees and started moving, slowly at first. He had no Larnari senses, no scent tracking, no claw marks to guide him. But he had something they didn't expect: logic. He noticed the smallest snapped branch to the left. A smear of mud that didn't belong. A faint vibration from disturbed leaves. Every step she took left something behind, and Ryan had trained for emergencies, learned how to survive planets harsher than this. Still, as the hours passed, the jungle grew stranger. Plants whispered when touched. The light dimmed unnaturally. At one point, a vine dropped near his neck and hissed. Ryan sliced it just in time. "She wants me nervous," he muttered, pushing forward. By midday, he entered a clearing. In the center was a stone pool with silver water and a Larnari warrior's blade resting beside it. Ryan stepped forward, snap a trap. The ground gave out, and he dropped 5 feet into a pit lined with soft slime and sharp thorns. Nothing deadly, but hard to climb. Then Kari appeared above, looking down with one eyebrow raised. "You stepped in it," she said. "You said it," Ryan snapped. Wiping slime off his arm, she crouched. "Why didn't you smell it?" "I don't smell things, I observe them. Your trap was perfect, almost." "Almost?" Ryan pointed. "You forgot the echo. When you walked away, you stepped on dried leaves. But under this trap nothing but silence. The ground here's too perfect. That's not natural." Kari's smirk vanished. "Help me out?" Ryan asked. She didn't move. "You're being tested." "Yeah, then test this." He kicked off the wall, jammed the bone dagger into a root, and used it as leverage to haul himself up, his boots slipping, muscles straining. Finally, he reached the edge and rolled out of the pit. Kari stepped back. "You learn fast." "I don't need fangs to outsmart a hunter," Ryan said, brushing himself off. They walked in silence for a while, side by side now, not enemies, not friends, something else forming between them. As they neared the trial's final stretch, The stone fang came into view, a jagged spike rising from the jungle floor, surrounded by glowing mist. But something was wrong. Smoke. Screams. Another creature had arrived, a jungle predator, massive and armored, stalking the Larnari test site. One of the warriors had been mauled trying to stop it. Panic spread. Kari growled. A Bralock. It shouldn't be here. Ryan watched as the monster turned toward a young Larnari scout. Frozen in fear, Ryan didn't think, he ran. He dove between the Bralock and the scout, using his bone dagger like a spear slashing at its eye. The creature roared, swinging a claw, throwing Ryan across the clearing. Blood ran down his side, but the distraction gave Kari time. She lunged from the trees, blades spinning in both hands. She danced around the monster, cutting tendons, slicing. Weak points. It fell hard, twitching, then went still. Kari knelt beside Ryan. Why did you jump in like that? He was just a kid, Ryan groaned. I didn't think, I just moved. You risked the trial, Ryan smirked. Maybe ... Or maybe that was the real test. Kari stared at him for a long time. Then she reached out her hand gentle and helped him stand. They limped toward the stone fang together. The crowd had gone quiet. Elder Varun approached. He faced death without fear, used wit, showed instinct, and protected a child not his own. The thread has held. Kari looked at Ryan, her voice barely a whisper. You were never supposed to survive. But you didn't just survive, you changed something. Ryan breathed deep, standing at the stone fang's base. I told you, he said, smiling through the pain. I'm not afraid of a little bite. Asterisk, the stars had started to appear in the darkening sky. Small fires lit the jungle clearing as the tribe celebrated Ryan's success. Drums echoed, warriors danced, but not everyone was smiling. Ryan sat on a flat rock, his side still aching from the Bralock's blow. The healers had treated him with some thick green paste that smelled like burnt pine. It worked, though he could breathe again. Across the fire, Kari stood alone, arms crossed, her back to the others. She hadn't spoken to him since they returned. He watched her tail flick left, then right, sharp movements, tense. She wasn't angry. She was confused. Ryan stood slowly and limped over to her. You okay? Kari didn't turn. You should be resting. You keep saying that. I'm starting to think you care. She finally looked at him. Her golden eyes didn't have the usual challenge. They were ... unsure. I don't understand you, human, Ryan smiled. Most humans don't understand each other either. You risked everything during the trial, for a child you don't know. For a tribe that sees you as an outsider. For me, though you had no reason to, Ryan shrugged. Maybe I don't need a reason. Kari stared. In my world, that's dangerous. We act because of duty, rank, bloodline. You act because you feel something. That single quotes s ... reckless. Ryan looked into the flames. Feelings are what make us human. And maybe that's why I bit you back. Not to fight. Not to dominate, but to show I'm not afraid to connect. Kari turned fully now. The thread. It's tighter than it should be. What does that mean? It means. She hesitated. I feel what you feel. When you were hurt, I couldn't breathe. When you stood up for me in the trial, I wanted to bite again. But not to fight. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Then for what? Kari didn't answer. That night, the tribe moved into quiet sleep. Only the guards and the moon remained awake. I stood at the edge of the clearing, staring into the jungle shadows. Ryan found her again. You didn't sleep either? He asked. She shook her head. Something's wrong. Wrong how? Another thread is trying to pull me. Just then, a shadow moved through the trees. Kari growled, pulling Ryan behind her. A large male Larnari stepped into the firelight, taller and broader than Kari. His fur was darker, his fangs longer. A scar ran across his left eye. "I've returned," he said loudly. "And I claim what is mine." The tribe began to gather. Whispering in alarm. I tensed. "Tharks." Ryan whispered. "Who is that?" "My former bondmate," she said tightly. "He left the tribe before the trial. We broke the thread. He was gone for over 2 cycles. Tharks stepped forward. "But now I return, and I see you've bitten a human." "A joke. That thread is weak. I challenge it." Ryan stepped beside her. "You can't just walk in and claim her like an object." Tharks laughed. "I don't claim her. I challenge you. One final right. The thread pulls her in 2 directions. One must break." Kari's voice was cold. "This is madness." Varun appeared from the shadows. "By law, if both threads exist, only one can remain. The rite of the echo bite must be done." "What's that?" Ryan asked. Kari's jaw clenched. "We both stand between the 2. If I step toward Tharks, your thread breaks. If I step toward you, his breaks. And once broken, it cannot return." Ryan took a slow breath. "So, you choose." "No," Kari whispered. "The thread chooses." The ritual circle was drawn. The tribe surrounded them. Kari stood in the center, motionless, while Tharks stood on one side, and Ryan the other. Silence fell. A deep wind blew through the trees. Varun raised a staff. "Let the echo speak." Kari's body trembled slightly. She looked toward Tharks. Old memories in her eyes. He had once been her alpha, her protector, her partner. But he had left. Then she turned toward Ryan. No bloodline, no history. Just a human who bit back, protected others, and never knelt. She closed her eyes. The crowd held their breath. Then Kari moved 1 step 2 3 toward Ryan. Tharks's snarl broke the air. "You'll regret this." But Kari didn't stop. She stood in front of Ryan and placed her forehead gently against his. "I didn't want this," she whispered. "But the thread pulled me here. You are already inside me." Ryan touched her shoulder softly. "I'm not trying to own you. I just want to walk beside you." Varun raised his staff. "The echo bite has spoken. The old thread is broken. The new thread holds." The crowd gave a low cry, not cheering, not mourning, something in between. A new path had opened, and none knew where it would lead. Tharks vanished into the shadows. Kari stayed beside Ryan, and neither of them said a word, for there was nothing left to say. The thread had spoken. Night fell like a heavy blanket, wrapping the jungle in thick silence. The fires in the Larnari camp burned low. Most of the tribe had gone to sleep, exhausted from the unexpected echo rite. Only a few warriors remained awake, posted along the edges, alert and watchful, but not watchful enough. Inside the healer's den, Ryan sat cross-legged while Kari wrapped a fresh cloth around his ribs. Her hands were steady, but her tail kept flicking the sign she was nervous. "You should rest," she muttered. "I'll rest when you stop looking over your shoulder every 5 seconds." Kari didn't smile. "The thread is strong now," she whispered, "but some may see it as weakness or betrayal." "To them," Ryan said, "I'm still an outsider." She nodded slowly. "And I chose you." Ryan looked at her. "Do you regret it?" Her eyes flicked up to his. "No, that's why I'm worried." Outside, the wind shifted. Something was wrong. Kari's ears perked. She stood quickly and unsheathed her short blade. "Stay here," she ordered. Ryan rose, ignoring the pain in his side. "I'm not hiding while you fight alone." She looked at him, torn between frustration and something deeper. But before she could speak, a scream cut through the jungle. A guard. Then another sound, wet, heavy, like something sharp striking flesh. Kari rushed out of the den. Ryan close behind her. The clearing was chaos. 2 guards were already down, blood pooling around them. A third fought for his life against a massive 4-legged beast covered in bone plates. Its eyes glowed red, its mouth foamed. A jungle prowler? Kari said in shock. No, they never come near fire. Ryan saw something else, movement in the trees, shadows, Larnari warriors, but not ones he recognized. He grabbed Kari's arm. We're not just under attack by animals. Someone led them here, Kari growled low. Tharks. Before she could move, a figure dropped from above. Ryan barely turned in time to raise his arm, and a blade slashed across it. Sparks flew. It had struck the small data unit embedded in his suit. He stumbled back. Kari roared and launched at the attacker, a Larnari male with a scarred jaw and wild eyes. Her claws met his blade in a flash of silver. You dare strike at my thread? She hissed. The male spit blood. You betrayed your pack. You bonded with prey. The camp exploded into fighting, those loyal to Kari against those who followed. Tharks' bitter cause. It wasn't a battle, it was a purge. Ryan ducked a thrown spear, then tackled the attacker who had tried to stab him. They rolled, kicked, and wrestled near the fire pit. Ryan wasn't as strong, but he was fast, smart. He jammed a burning stick from the fire into the attacker's leg, and the Larnari howled in pain. Ryan didn't wait. He scrambled toward Kari, who had backed into a corner, facing two warriors at once. She was breathing hard, bleeding from the shoulder, her blade shaking. One of the warriors stepped forward, raising an axe. Ryan grabbed a discarded spear and threw it, clumsy but fast. It hit the attacker's arm just enough to make him drop the weapon. Kari took the opening. Her claws flashed. One enemy down. The other ran. Then silenced. The fire crackled. Bodies lay scattered, some alive, some not. Maroon limped into the clearing, staff glowing faintly. It was Tharks. He used the confusion after the right to split the camp. We are not safe anymore. Kari dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Ryan knelt beside her. You're bleeding, he said. So are you, she replied. He smiled. Told you I wasn't hiding. She looked at him for a long moment. Her fingers brushed his hand. Varun's voice was low. Tonight, the threat has been tested by betrayal and it held, but now you must leave. Tharks will return with more. He will not stop. Leave the tribe? Kari asked. The elder nodded. Go into the highlands. There the ancients wait. If your bond is true, they will protect you. If not, he paused, they will tear you apart. Ryan's face tightened. Another test? Not a test, Varun said. A judgment. Kari rose, weak but proud. Then we go. Ryan helped her to her feet. We face it together. As they walked away from the burning camp, deeper into the unknown, the moon rose behind them like a silver eye watching. Kari leaned against him. Not because she was weak, but because she chose to. And somewhere in the shadows, glowing red eyes followed. The wind howled through the mountain cliffs. Sharp stones dug into Ryan's boots with every step. Beside him, Kari limped but didn't slow down. Her shoulders still bled, wrapped in cloth torn from her own tunic. They had left the tribe behind. Now, they climbed toward a place Kari called the Maw of the Ancients, a place whispered about in her childhood. A place no one returned from unless the thread between two souls was real. Ryan glanced at her. You're shivering, Kari growled low. I don't shiver. You also don't listen when you need rest. She didn't answer, but she didn't argue either. They finally reached a narrow ridge. Below them, fog swirled. Ahead, a cave. Mouth opened like a jagged jaw carved into black stone. Something about it made the air colder. Heavier. Kari's ears twitched. We're here, she said. Ryan looked around. I don't see anything ancient. You don't see them, she said softly. They see us. Inside the cave, the ground turned glassy. The walls pulsed faint blue, as if alive. Every sound echoed, each breath louder than it should be. Kari stopped. This is where we make the offering. Ryan frowned. Offering? To prove the threat is not fake. she said. We show pain ... and trust. Ryan took a step forward. What do I need to do? Kari stepped in front of him, face serious. Not you, me. Before he could speak, Kari drew her dagger and sliced the palm of her own hand. Ryan lunged forward. Stop, you don't have to. She held up her bleeding hand. This is our way. You bonded with me when you bit back. You walked through. Fire with me. You saved me when I should have been saving you. She held out her hand. This is the bite of loyalty. It's not given. It's offered. If you accept it, we are bound forever. Ryan stared at her. Her hand shook slightly, but her eyes were steady. No fear. No doubt. Only truth. He reached out, then paused. This won't turn me into one of you, will it? Kari smiled faintly. No, but it will make you something no human has ever been. He nodded. Slowly, he leaned forward and pressed his teeth gently into her palm, just enough for blood to mix. No pain, only contact. Only connection. Kari gasped, but not in pain. Something deeper. Like an ancient part of her being had just woken up. Then the cave changed. The walls glowed brighter. Shapes moved in the stone-like memories coming alive. A dozen glowing figures stepped out of the shadows. Tall, old Larnari with silver eyes and faces carved by time. Kaya. I dropped to one knee. Ancient spirits, we come in peace. Ryan stood tall, unsure if he should bow. One spirit stepped closer. He spoke in a voice that was not sound but a feeling inside the bones. Why do you bond with the outsider? Kari raised her chin. Because the thread pulled me. Because no warrior protected me like he did. Because when I fell he caught me, and when I bled he stayed. The spirit turned to Ryan. And you, human. Why do you stand with the one who bit you? Ryan took a deep breath. Because I don't fear her. Because I respect her. And because I see who she really is. The spirits paused. Then, as one, they stepped back. A low hum filled the cave. From above, a soft light broke through a crack in the ceiling, falling directly on the two of them. Kari looked around, stunned. They accept us. Ryan smiled weakly. That's good, right? Kari laughed for the first time since the betrayal. That's very good. But the light dimmed quickly, too quickly. A rumble shook the cave floor. Kari's face dropped. No. Ryan turned. What is it? They're not alone. From the cave mouth, shadows moved again. But this time, it was not spirits. It was THARX. And he wasn't alone. He brought with him 3 hunters, their eyes glowing unnaturally. Each one wore the bones of jungle beasts and blades coated in black poison. Tharx's voice echoed off the walls. Even your precious ancients can't protect you now. Kari stood in front of Ryan. You followed us through sacred ground? I was invited, Kari, Tharx sneered, by others who fear this new bond. You thought you could rewrite our traditions with a human? He raised his weapon. Now watch him die. Ryan stepped forward, standing beside Kari. He whispered, I didn't come this far to run. Kari's voice was a growl. Then we fight, threadbound. The cave shook again, but this time, not from fear, not from power. The ancients had not left. Their eyes glowed bright, and the walls themselves began to shift. The final battle had begun, and the cave would decide whose bond was real. The cave roared like a living beast. Walls trembled, stones cracked, and glowing veins of blue light ran across the floor. The ancients had awakened, but Tharx didn't stop. He charged forward, his black blade raised high, his hunters at his side, eyes filled with fury and betrayal. Kari met him head-on. Her blades clashed with his in a burst of sparks. The sound rang like metal crying. Ryan didn't wait either. He grabbed a spear from the cave wall ornamental, but Sharpen rushed into the fight. One of Tharx's hunters came for him, snarling, swinging wide. Ryan ducked, twisted, and drove. the spear into the attacker's side. He wasn't a soldier, not trained for war, but he was fast and he fought smart. Behind them, the ancients watched in still silence, their eyes glowing with judgment. Kari fought like a storm. But Tharks was bigger, stronger. He slammed her into a pillar, making her grunt in pain. Her blade fell. "Look at you," Thark spat. "We were meant to rule this tribe together. And you gave your bite to him?" Kari stood slowly, blood on. Her lips, but fire in her eyes. "I didn't give anything. I chose, and I'd choose him again." Tharks roared and lunged at Ryan, saw it from across the chamber. He didn't think. He ran, but Tharks was too fast. His blade came down and stopped, an inch from Kari's throat. A glowing hand had caught it. An ancient stood between them, holding Tharks's arm like it weighed nothing. "You have failed," the spirit whispered. "The thread you once had has rotted." Thark struggled. "She betrayed our way." "No," the spirit said. "You did when you abandoned her. When you let hate replace loyalty." Another spirit turned to Ryan. "You human. You bleed. You fear. But you do not run. And you do not strike for pride. You strike for others." Kari walked to Ryan and stood at his side. Their hands touched. Fingers laced. The cave calmed. The spirits began to fade, but their voices stayed. "The thread has spoken, stronger than blood, woven not by flesh but by choice." The blue light swirled, and the cave pulsed once more. A symbol formed on the stone behind Kari and Ryan, a circle made of two fangs joined at the base. The mark of unity. Then the light faded completely. The silence was deep. Tharks fell to his knees. Not wounded, but empty. His strength was nothing now. I looked down at him, then turned away. Let him live. Let him carry the shame. Varun's voice echoed as he entered the cave behind the fallen warriors. "So it is done." He stepped toward Ryan and nodded with rare approval. "You have done what no human ever has. You stood, not above us, not beneath us, but with us." Ryan exhaled slowly. "I didn't mean to change anything." "Exactly," Kari said softly. "That's why you did." A week later, the Larnari camp was rebuilt. Fires burned again, not from battle, but celebration. Kari and Ryan stood before the tribe. Their wrists were wrapped in silver thread, a new tradition. Not bound by dominance, but by shared strength. Varun raised his staff. "From this day, let it be known. The thread between Kari of the Larnari and Ryan of Earth is honored. And their bond is the bridge between worlds." The crowd howled, not in anger, but in joy. Ryan smiled at Kari. "You sure they're ready for humans?" Kari grinned, her fangs flashing. "You bit me, then saved me, then fought beside me. They'll get used to it." A small child ran up to Ryan and handed him a carved fang made of bone. "For luck," the child whispered. Ryan knelt. "Thanks, little warrior." The boy looked confused. "But I'm not a warrior." Ryan winked. "You don't have to look like one to be one." Kari watched the exchange and said, "See? Already more Larnari than some Larnari." They laughed. Later that night, under stars brighter than Ryan had ever seen, Kari leaned against him. "You know," she said, "when I bit you the first time, I thought I was showing strength." Ryan looked at her. "And now?" She touched the mark on her arm where he'd bitten her back. "Now I know. Strength is not in the bite. It's in what comes after." They sat in silence. The wind was calm, and somewhere far beyond, in the stars above, Earth spun slowly, unaware that one of its own had become more than a visitor on an alien world. He had become part of it.